Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
Tonight they made three. They were 3 for 16. They are one of the worst teams. There you have it. BYU is the best team in the country. They make 12 and a half threes a game. Indiana makes 3.6. They are 349th out of 351 teams. If you want to know, IUPUI ranks dead last at 3.3 per game. They have struggled against Florida Gulf Coast at home, Army at home, Wright State at home, Harvard at home. I was at that Army game, by the way. Morehead State. In case you didn't know, Jim, my daughter goes to Indiana, so I give about $50,000 a year to the Indiana University fund there. So I'm out. I was at the Kansas game the other night. They look great. They look terrific. They didn't make or take a lot of threes, but they look terrific and almost beat Kansas, Jerel. And then they go out and they lay this stinker. They win, which is great. They've won all these games against low majors. So I guess that's the saving grace for Mike Woodson and Hoosiers fans. But how worried are you when a team keeps winning these games and playing with fire? How worried are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty worried, and I think it's been the same thing with Indiana all year. They struggled to make shots from the outside. They don't have a ton of guys on their roster who you're gonna be chasing out to the 3-point line and not sagging in and playing off in the half court offense. So it's gonna it's gonna kind of take a shot and ruin your spacing and your ability for some of your better drivers to get downhill and try to get into the lane and get easy opportunities or even draw fouls and get to the free throw line more. So I'm definitely worried about it. But at the end of the day, they won. They somehow escaped and won another game they were supposed to win. I'm definitely hoping though for their sake that they'll look a lot closer to how they looked in that game against Kansas at home. Once Big Ten play kind of resumes here as well too. So I mean, I think they're bad. How bad is the question? I guess it'll be at least offensively, but we'll see here shortly.
Hey, Jim, I got a stat for you. You ready? They're number 3 on Kenpom in luck. Now, first of all,
how do you measure that?
I want to know, what do you know about Kenpom? Have you ever met Ken Pomeroy, and have you ever been on Kenpom's website?
I've never met him. I don't believe in most of the stuff he does. Some of it is good, but most of it you can know without going on the website to look, because you don't need to look to see that Indiana's not a good shooting team. You don't need to go on any website to see that. You just watch them play and you see them. But yeah, I mean, Indiana's to win the games they've won is pretty good the way they've shot the ball, and they're not going to be able to keep winning games as they move forward. But then they have the game with Kansas they easily could have won, and Kansas is as good as anybody they're going to play for the rest of the year, probably. So it's hard to kind of figure. You can't, when a team wins a close game against a team they're supposed to beat by a lot, you just can't say, well, they're terrible. They won the game. That's what they did. But they're going to have to shoot better. There's no question about that.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. And Woodson recently, I'm going to give you a quote, because people have been harping on it and asking about it all the time, right? And he said, guys, I'm going to say this for the last time. We take enough threes. We just have to make what we take. And I understand what he's saying, Jerel. I get what he's saying. It's like, listen, we're not built to take a ton of threes. Morehead State tonight was 10 of 34. And most of these teams that come in are just thinking, hey, listen, if we can make 10 and shoot 30%, we're going to have a chance to beat Indiana. But, for me, it's more about the roster construction. And when you're putting together a team right now in 2023, and you coach in the state of Indiana also, by the way, I would say you're going to want to have multiple shooters, multiple guys. And I wouldn't put it together with a team full of 4s and 5s, which is what I think their strength is right now, with kel'el Ware, with Malik Renew, with Mackenzie Mbako. They're all capable of shooting a 3, but that's not what you want from them. So the spacing isn't there. And they're without Xavier Johnson, who's probably their best 3-point shooter. So in defense to them, they don't have their point guard, their veteran point guard, and their best three-point shooter. But again, the roster construction for me is what really worried me in the offseason, and it's really come to fruition.
Is Xavier Johnson like what, 30? Is he 30 years old? I remember him playing against me when I was still had lots of time left to go in my career. And he really wasn't a good shooter.
Hey,
and he wasn't a good shooter then. He wasn't a good shooter then either. So I don't know.
Maybe he has a hitch in his shot, but it actually goes in. He's got kind of.
You can win without shooting threes, but you really, if you're not making them, you don't want to take them.
Right,
Just try to get something else. Try to get to the basket. If you know you're going to make 4 out of 16 threes, then just don't take them. Don't take any, and try to get to the basket. Get fouled. It's hard to do that. They're gonna go back, but you can do it. You can play and win without making a lot of threes. Teams have done it, and it's not the game today, but
Hey, Rick Pitino. Hey, Rick Pitino wouldn't say what you just said. That's for damn sure.
Well, he's a different guy. He plays a different style than most everybody else, and he takes 33s even if they're not making them. He doesn't care. They're going to shoot.
It doesn't matter. His personnel. He can have me out there.
Right. And I haven't looked at his numbers, but I don't think they're a really good shooting team at St. John's this year either. I haven't really looked at the numbers, so I probably shouldn't say that. But I don't think they got a lot of guys that can really shoot down there.
Jerel, what's your take of again the way you put together a team these days? And I think they can win games in the Big Ten. Now, again, last year they had Trey Jackson-Davis, who was maybe the second best player in the country. So it's a little bit different than having kel'el Ware or Malik Renew or one of those guys or Mbako. But I just keep kind of going back to the fact that you've got to adapt with the changes and obviously the 3-point line, and to build a team this way, I just don't think you can make a run in the NCAA tournament with this type of personnel.
No, I agree, and it's gonna be hard for them just to sustain any kind of consistency throughout the course of the year as well. Trying to win like that, and just like you alluded to, though, Jeff, the game has changed a lot, and it's kind of, obviously it's one game, it's the same game, but just kind of trends and the way that people want to play and the precedent is be putting on certain things, it fluctuates from time to time, and it usually ends up coming back around in a circle. But right now, it's it's a shooter's game. It's almost like if you're a guy that can stand still in the corner and make that shot at 50 or 60% rate when you're wide open, you can play regardless of what else you can do. And it wasn't necessarily always like that, because if you aren't able to do other things on the defensive end, a lot of coaches wouldn't be able to play you or feel like they could trust you out there on the floor. But it's going to be hard to sustain this now in this current climate. But I think the two big things, kind of like what Coach Boeheim said, can you win this way? Absolutely. It's still possible, but I think the two big things for those guys, if you're going to have all those guys out there, those big fours who can make a shot every blue moon, but that's kind of not their forte, I think, one, you got to get to the free throw line a lot more. And number two, they got to find a way to go just get some extra possessions off the offensive glass. They got to use their size and their athleticism to generate some extra possessions, get some tip-ins, some putbacks, or some more free throws or foul shots off second chances to try to generate enough points to win games.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.